Hello and welcome to Factorio, where we're kind of moving along, and another alien invasion on my part, rather invading the aliens, is going to be due before too long. But frankly, I've been doing a lot of that recently. So what I want to do is to start almost future-proofing my factory to get it to the point where we can handle resources in a much finer fashion. We are going to run out of iron sooner rather than later. I think probably within the next hour I'll be looking to tap up another iron field. But what I want to do is once I've got hold of it, I want to make sure that I'm doing something useful with it. Now, obviously, processing it pretty useful in itself, but more than that, I want to make sure I'm getting the best out of my system, and hopefully, in the process, actually reduce the amount of base that I have to guard quite so effectively. Because ramping up right now would basically mean just expanding the walls further, which means more laser turrets, which means more power is required. And while all of that is fun and something to be looked forward to with a heart full of glee, that's really not the way I want to go. I want to keep it relatively small and compact so that I can zoom all the way out and go, my, check how impressive this is. Yeah, it's fairly impressive already, but I think we can do better. So I have already demolished half of my copper smelting arena in order to set up something fresh, and that's going to use beacons. So beacons allow you to add either speed or efficiency modules. Efficiency modules reducing the power requirement. In order to make the surrounding area slightly more effective. This, in principle, sounds absolutely fabulous, until, of course, you hover over a beacon and realise that actually it doesn't cover a vast area. So what you end up doing is either packing things in closely or running with multiple beacons in order to get as wide a sphere of influences as possible. In my case, I'm going to go for the tight nesting option. So we're going to set up these electric furnaces around the outside of the beacon. Which we'll then add productivity modules to, so we get the maximum output from each of these furnaces. And right now I'm only running speed module 1 in there. Speed module 2, it's a right faff to make, frankly, and speed module 1 gives a little bit of a kick, which in my book makes it kind of worthwhile. So first things first, we're going to have a resource belt running around the outside for the furnaces to grab resources from, and I've taken the perhaps surprising move of actually building fairly close to where my copper station is coming in. I know that's unspeakable. That's not the kind of behaviour I do in the slightest. Usually I try and make things as far away as possible so that I can spend as many resources as possible in do I want to do that this with this belt? In transporting things around. Yes, the age-old question of do you talk or do you play stuff or do you just ramble incoherently? We've opted for the latter. And then secondary belts around the outside to gather the collected copper. One of the things that we'll be doing after this new furnacing system is set up is we'll be paying attention to the people that say don't put copper wire onto a belt, and we'll be putting copper wire directly into the circuit making machines. I know, I've tried it the other way and you can almost keep up, but at some point you have to stop being stubborn and saying no, my way will be absolutely fine, and admit that there are better ways to do things. So next up we need fast inserters in order to grab from this inner belt, which will have the copper ore on board. See, I might change my mind about this inner belt. I might run the inner belt as a circuit rather than anything else. Oh, only one of them's lacking power. Oh, that's a bit of a shame. Right, and we'll grab another one. Which side? Let's grab it this side. What the hey? And then long-handled inserters, long-arm inserters to extract the goodies once they're done and place them on this external belt. exterior belt. Exo belt. Huh, however you like. Right, I think you can see where we're going with this. Smashing. Right, that looks like pretty much as I intended. And I'm just going to build one of these for now, so you get the general gist of things. And then I'll build a secondary hub, I guess, round the other side. And the good news there, of course, is that I don't need to build a double set of belts all the way around. I'll probably end up working it into some kind of elegant configure 8. Yeah, I know, brace yourself. That's never going to work first time. Cool, right, so there we go. In principle, that's now marvellous. Let's bang in some productivity modules into these boys so that they're ready to earn me some free resources. I'm all about free resources. And then we might try hooking it up and watching it all go wrong. I mean, that's why you stay tuned for this rubbish, right? Good. So let's put a temporary power line in there just to make sure everybody's happy. And then I'll figure out some way of routing it into all of this gubbins up there, and I'll use a temporary solution for that for now, just so that I can keep the factory running while I continue with the reorganization. Further reorganization is afoot. Not least of all, I want to considerably increase the number of research stations that I've got, just so that we can really power through. Okay, smashing. So, what we've got here are 12. I'll tell you what, I'll put up some lights so that you can see what the hell's going on. What have we got? Right, so we've got 12 belts coming off these extractors, inserters, I guess, that have pulled the cargo from the train, and we're going to split those 6 and 6 into 2 belts, one which will feed this line down here, this new area I just built, and a second that will build the one immediately above it. Sounds deceptively simple, and that's because I'm a deceptively simple individual. So let's stick our in belt there. Let's hope we don't get hit by a train during these what's likely to be repeated crossings. And we're probably going to want some splitter action going on here to make sure we're feeding equally. But we'll figure that out in a sec, bear with me. And then it's as simple as just reversing direction. You come here. And you, let's pick all this up. And then you're now going south rather than north. We split that half and half. There you go, you feeding evenly? Lovely. Same goes for you. There you go, get in there. Smashing. Now, do I want to feed that directly on? Perhaps I do. Maybe stick some load balancing further down. Put a load balancer there. Yeah, sure, why not? Are we going to feed one side of the belt more than the other? I think that's a distinct possibility. So we're going to want to do something like that, and then like this, and like this, and like that. And that should load balance. I mean, we won't be able to tell until this thing's in full flow anyway, but that certainly looks like it'll do the job. Don't get hit by the train. Right, let's remove those just for a moment. Really? Is that going to work, is it? I'm not so sure. Alright, well, look, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. It would have been, but I was waiting for the undercoat to dry. Cool. Right, so I don't want to do... you there, handily certa man. Let's get you out of there and figure out where you go in a sec. So let's just do this the obvious way. Let's do that to start with, and then we'll worry about why it's not going to work in a minute. Okay? Just be cool. Everybody be cool. Spin it around. Right. So we've stuffed the belt on both sides. Let's just plonk that in there for the moment. Yes. Now what? Well. Oh, hello. Look, it's already working. Terrific. Now it's only feeding the. I mean, the export is only feeding one side of the of this exit belt. But to be honest, I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that because they'll merge nicely into top and bottom on the way out. At least that's the theory. See, I don't actually need to put a belt, any more belt on there, but it looks untidy, so I'm going to do it anyway. It's incredibly wasteful, but you know, it's not as pretty if I don't do that. Right, where do you want to feed onto? You can't feed onto there, but you can feed onto that, so do so immediately. There's other inefficiencies in here, so we're not grabbing off the end of the belts. Although I probably could do it if I moved that inserter by one. I think I'll do that. That's probably a sound thing to do. There we go, let's put you on there. And you'll start grabbing in a minute. No, is everybody doing stuff? Everybody appears to be doing stuff. Terrific. And then, as mentioned, we'll move that onto there, and then you can grab the end of whichever belt takes your fancy. You lucky thing. Alright, good. So, that appears to be kind of working. Yeah, I think one side of the belt is going to be less busy than the other, but not by much. And that's because we've got an uneven number of furnaces in the first place. Okay, so this needs to be coming in down this primary belt at the moment. We're going to change that in the future, but right now let's be incredibly wasteful and just burn belt down here. Can I, is that just, it's going to make a horrible mess, isn't it? Alright, okay, let's do it this way. I mean, it's only temporary, but let's at least, you know, try and get it kind of right. Right. Yes. Like that. And then you like, no. Alright, screw you. Right, no, you've put the belt the wrong way around. Stop getting carried away. There we go. Alright, drag it all the way down here. And then, remember, this is temporary. Don't get upset by the amount of wasteful belt usage we've got going on here. This is temporary. This is just by means of demonstration. Grand. Okay, so there we go. That's one of two. So that's the bottom half of the copper supply is now being consumed verily. Let's unblock this bit here. There we go. Be happy. Live your life. Laser damage. Beautiful. Let's take shotgun shell damage. Having recently upgraded to the combat shotgun, I'm really quite excited. No, oh no. I don't think I've got 50 of those kicking about. That's a bummer. Insert a stack. That's also useful. Yeah, what shall I go for? I don't know anything about power armor or any of that other good stuff that you can plug into yourself to turn yourself into a kind of two-dimensional RoboCop. But I think I possibly ought to look into that. Let's muck about with rockets. Yeah, all right. Let's get some rockets going. We need them for rocket defense at the end of the day. So let's do that. Okay, so much for not needing load balancing, huh? All right, I'll figure that out. I mean, they are. Is it trickling on even slightly? No, it's just pulling from here. So that chest is going to empty rapido. These ones, not so much. Not until we start really running out of resources. Okay, that's a really crap design. I'll figure something out on that front in due course. Meanwhile, let's see how this is paying off or not, as the case may be. We've got a fairly no, there we go. So it's queuing. It's queuing sufficiently to fill this belt up, which is fine. All right, good. So now next task is obviously to do it again. With the remaining chaps up here. So I think what we'll do first, rather than pick up all this copper manually, is we'll just tell it to stop. There we go. Let's pick that up. It's gonna take a little while to burn through that. Actually, it's ticking along. So these happy 6 here. 27. So let's get another one being built while we just stand around. So yeah, so the plan therefore is to stick a second copper refining area immediately above here. We'll move this roboport somewhere sensible. I'm not entirely sure where that will be because it will probably leave gaps. Knowing me, I haven't left any overlap in the slightest. And then we can obviously remove this whole copper belt here, and we'll do the same thing with iron immediately below the iron delivery area. You see what I'm thinking here? You see how that works? It should be quite elegant, all things told. If it's not quite elegant, it will at least be a little bit less space consuming. And then we have to do the laborious process of replumbing everything into all these resource lines to make sure that everything's getting exactly what it needs. And hey there, don't put copper wire on the belt, people. Look at it, look at it. It's working. Everybody's got enough copper. Oh, okay, this one is just running short. But is that because... no, it's not. Dang. Okay, it's almost impossible to generate enough copper going down there. I think even with the Blitzkrieg blue belts in operation, you're never going to keep up. There'll be a balancing thing in there somewhere. Someone with a spreadsheet will have figured out that if you run 15 of these and 12 of those and do a mixture of these kinds of belts and load balance it properly, it will all work swimmingly. Yeah, frankly, I haven't got that kind of time, or in fact that kind of inclination. There we go, smashing. Look at this, look, new space opening up. I'll probably fill it with solar panels. Magic. Do you want to watch me just hang around, gradually getting rid of all this belt? Is that the sort of thing that would excite you? I don't think it is. I mean, what are we looking at here? We're looking at a couple of minutes. Or we're looking at no time at all. There we go. And I'll just go and sling that in the furnaces down here, and then by the time I get back up there, the rest of it should be gone. There we go, you have that, and you have that. Enjoy. Grand. Okay. And the rest of it has indeed gone. Right. Excellent. You empty? You're empty. Right. Come to me. So, I mean, this isn't a bad system that we've got in place at the moment. It's, I mean, it's not as good as it could be, but it's not, you know, completely awful. But it would have made it incredibly hard to get any beacons operating in there. So you miss out on that kind of speed bump, which no, that will allow me to feed both sides of the belt finally. Okay. Oh, everybody's just deliriously happy. Grand. Okay, so now we're going to go and do the same thing again, with more colour. Right, where are we? Let's 2 and is that the way you want to do it? Is it really? Let's delete that. So I'm sure that's only going to wreck half of everything we've got going on. Yeah, you see, it really does want to sit there, doesn't it? All right, let's zoom out. Let's make sure we've got vertical coverage here. Yeah, if we bang it in there for the time being, and then make sure we've got full coverage later. I like being frugal with my roboports, using as few as you have to, for no good reason at all. I think it's the only evidence of any frugality on my part. There we go, a substation in there. No, the substation goes above that. You want the beacon in there. Beacon and on. And a substation. And furnace and furnace and furnace. Furnace and furnace and get in the right place. Furnace and furnace. Good. Right. If I remove that, I'm sure the world won't end. Chance you could connect to both chaps? No, that's going to be where the belts are sitting, isn't it? So don't do that. Right, well, sit there and see if that makes you cheerful. You exist solely to power this this fella here. Right. Well, in that case, we'll replace you with one of those, and that's everybody just as cheerful as can possibly be. Right. So belt time, and we're going to come up with something cunning here. Oh, you see, look, haven't we just spotted the problem with this? No, we'll just do it. We'll just do it different. We'll just do it a different way. Is it going to work? Ooh. Okay, this is definitely going to have to turn into some kind of figure eight. And if you want to see what kind of figure eight, you're going to have to tune in next time. So, in the next thrilling instalment, and I'm not going to work it out beforehand. No, I am going to work it out beforehand, because otherwise you'll spend 20 minutes watching me going, no, no, there, yes, no, and rebuilding things 15, 7, 15, God knows how many times in a row. And while that might be riveting, I'm likely to do that anyway. So I'll catch you next time, and you can see how we get on. Cheerio.